And good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee with EMCSA. My name is Rob Walker, and this morning I'm joined by a gentleman who probably needs no introduction to those of you who follow the energy or EV space in South Africa, Mr. Carel Snyman. Carel, welcome and taking time for being with us this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Now, I mean, we mentioned you probably need no introduction to anyone who's in the energy space, but I mean, your career has taken you from everywhere from government into ESCOM, into NGOs, into private sector, and obviously many advisory roles in between. Give us maybe a brief synopsis of how you got into the space.
Well, I started at the National Energy Council, and we looked at all the energies that we need to use for transportation and can use for transportation. Analyzed that, looked at what the impact in South Africa would be, and I saw that because we're only having one time zone and we have a very nice mild weather, electric vehicles would be a perfect solution for transportation in South Africa. That was many years back, so I think something like about 30 years back.
Sure.
So that's when I started with the National Energy Council. But that was not the first electric vehicle program in South Africa. The first one was when we had the oil crisis in the 70s. And so I don't want to claim that I was the first one to start any electric vehicle action in South Africa. But I think I started the second wave of interest into electric vehicles. And that was towards the late 80s, early 90s. And I started driving electric in 1994.
Fantastic. And I mean, I think anyone who follows, the EV space in South Africa, you're a big proponent of electric mobility. Let me call it that, which isn't just, vehicles and dare I say consumer cars. Talk to us a little bit about what your current day-to-day is at the moment. What is Mr. Carel Snyman up to in the 2000s?
Just a quick one on mobility. Yes, I believe cars are not really the solution for mobility or moving people and goods in the city. Cars use up a lot of space. I mean, half the space of the city almost is being used by cars. And cars currently create massive pollution in the cities, pollution that poisons the air that people breathe. So the car causes congestion as well, and that results in lots of waste, not just in energy, but also in time of people and productivity and all those sort of things. But currently, I'm busy with the Western Cape government. We have, together with a team of people, developed a strategy for the Western Cape. It was actually for the government motorized transport, the fleet of the province, that we did the work. But it was promoted to become the Western Province strategy. So that was approved by Cabinet in October 2021. And now, since then, we've been busy doing the foundation work, looking at how do we build this ecosystem that we need for electric vehicles to thrive in. So you need to think about the infrastructure, the charging stations, all these sort of things that needs to be in place. You need to think about home charging. You need to think about what happens if everybody on the block has got an electric car. I mean, it's like adding a geyser to every home, and of course the reticulation system is not always in place to handle that, etc., etc. So there's a lot of issues that we are looking at, addressing, researching. We are now starting to work with the universities as well, looking at them to do research for us, developing the skills that this new industry will need.
Fantastic. And I mean, let's talk about, I'm quite an avid follower of yours. I know you always, dare I say, you always come up with some big, I don't want to say controversial statements, but you've always got some strong opinions when it comes to mobility. And I think, you are quite right when you say cars are the most efficient, mode of mobility for people within cities. Ideally, let's talk about a city like Cape Town. So ideally, what should Cape Town be looking at as a mobility solution in the next 10 years as a future Cape Town in Carel Snyman's mind?
Well, that's not an easy question to answer.
I know.
It's a very difficult one, and there are so many things that you need to take into consideration. You can't just put something in place, let's say a public transport system, and people don't use it, or it's not attractive or convenient, or whatever the case may be. But there's got to be a mixture of things. It doesn't really make sense for you. Let's start with a car again. To use a 3-ton mobility tool, let's call it a mobility tool, and then you'll think better about your car. If you think about techno-economic reasons instead of aesthetic reasons to own a car. I mean, the purpose for the car is to move you around, not really to prop up your status or stuff like that. It's to move you around. We all enjoy driving. I also do enjoy driving. I just had 2 trips, PE, Cape Town and back from home, which is in Midrand, and I did it in 2 different directions. And I loved both those trips. And it was done with my electric car, so it was wonderful to drive. And I just love driving. So we all love driving. We all love cars. But the car in the inner city is not the solution. So you need to think about something that is properly sized for you. You need to think about shared transportation. And some people prefer being alone, but on a bicycle. And that is a very efficient way of moving. Incidentally, electric bicycles are more efficient, maybe twice as efficient as people pedaling their vehicles, because the electric motor can convert the energy in motion much better than your body can. But that's just an interesting fact. So it's a mix of things, and you need to allow for people to exercise their choice as well. But there's a bigger objective that we need to meet. We need to have clean air in our cities. We need to use as little energy as possible, and we need to make this affordable and accessible to all. You cannot just have a transportation system that is just for a portion of the city. And therefore the vehicles, and many cities in South Africa, if you have vehicles, you only allow a certain portion of the people in the city to have access to convenient transportation, if you want to call it convenient. I mean, maybe it's the first choice for many people, and maybe that's the better word to use. But we need to find transportation that is really low cost. We've developed, or not me, somebody else developed a system in South Africa, which is a Futron. It's called the Futron system. It's a system in the air, so it's not on the road, and it enters stations in the first, second, or third floor of a building. It's quiet, it uses very little energy, and it can transport a lot of people. It's a bit radical, so it didn't get the attention that we hoped that it would get in South Africa. And I believe now it's more, well, it's moved out of South Africa into China, and they are more interested in this than we were, or our city planners were. But yeah, so, I mean, 2-dimensional transport is also not the solution. We live 3-dimensionally. Why don't we transport and move 3-dimensionally? So we need to think about taking the masses of people off the road and maybe into the air, so that we can have freedom on the road. I mean, many roads are barriers for people that are walking in the city or using cycles. I mean, these barriers should not exist. It's about people that need to move, not about cars or trucks or whatever they need to move. People and goods. And you need to find new ways. You need to think about new ways of moving people and goods.
Fantastic. And Carel, I mean, you know, you're often seen by many as kind of one of the early movers in the space. I mean, obviously your experience, knowledge is hugely valuable, and we're very privileged to have you as a speaker at EMCSA. Give me a quick insight. What can our audience expect to hear from you this year, and what information will you be sharing with those in your session?
Well, I need to. Well, I haven't started preparing for that yet. We just had a session, a roundtable discussion in the Eastern Cape with the Automotive Industrial Development Corporation, and there's things happening in the Western Cape, and there are many things happening elsewhere in the world. So what I will do is, and also I've been invited to do a bit of a talk to a company that is interested in these things, and it's a workshop. It's a morning workshop. So I will do research for this, and this conference that you're talking about, your conference, will come after that. So what I typically do, I take the latest things and combine them. So I don't have an idea at this stage what I will talk to you guys about, but I'll try and make it interesting and actual. So things that are happening now in the world, and things that we should pay attention to, and how that relates to South Africa, and what we can do. I like to keep things as practical as possible and show people that they themselves can be part of the change and make the change happen, and help us to create a better environment for mobility in South Africa. We have so many things so wrong in South Africa today. I think everybody should work together to try and improve this.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, perfect. So look, Carl, I mean, it's always great to have speakers like yourself, people who give us the most current up-to-date information, and I think everyone who's in the space knows your work to date. I think from my side and the whole EMCSA team, thank you very much. It's been an absolute privilege, chatting with you this morning, and really looking forward to your session in a month's time at EMCSA 2023.
Thank you, Rob. It's been a pleasure.
Fantastic. That was Carel Snyman joining us with our Coffee with EMCSA session. From myself, Rob, and the entire EMCSA team, thank you very much for joining us at another one of these sessions, and we will look forward to engaging with you soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye.